introducing the edge tackle range of open end feeders. So Richard, we've got two types in our range. We've got the cage feeder and the open end feeder.
Yep, the ground bait feeder, the solid body one and the open bodied, if you like. Yep.
Okay, so we'll talk about all the different sizes and weights that we've got, but first of all, as we've actually developed these products from scratch, they're not off-the-shelf products.
No.
Could you actually talk to me in summary about the development of the feeders? I think that's really interesting.
Well, I'd like to think that we both know what we want to use, and if we want to use it for this sort of fishing, bream fishing, we'd get it right.
Yeah.
But like you said, they're not off the shelf. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do some drawings. We need to make a CAD model on a computer. Then once you've got that made, you then make 3D printed models like these. So that's a flat panel for a cage feeder. And these are the 3D printed models for 3 of the 4 ground bait feeders. And the reason for doing all of this is to make sure that you've got everything right and everything fits. Otherwise, you could, if you're really unlucky, make a small mistake. But having done all of that, drawings, CAD model, samples, you then put your tooling down and make the real product.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the actual boom there, the design that you've gone into the boom. And obviously then you've got the 3D model,
yep,
which sort of just checks everything out.
It checks all the dimensions, yeah.
And then once you've got the tool in, then we got the samples. Now I've been using these feeders now for a year. So we've had a good chance to really test them out. We've ironed out a few little tweaks. We had a bit of an issue with the boom, didn't we, on the original samples?
Which is why we've made a Mark II boom.
Yeah. And also in terms of getting the leads right and how the leads were fixed to the actual cage.
Yep.
So
because every lead
yeah,
fits every body.
Yeah.
So if you've got multiple versions of this,
yeah,
and multiple versions of that,
yeah,
the leads fit.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like the whole concept about the range in terms of that fact. Obviously, that's the largest size, isn't it?
That's what we call an extra large. So what we've got 4 body sizes in both cage and ground bait.
Let's see if I can hold those up and show the camera. So you've got 4 sizes for each type of feeder, yeah?
Yep, so you've got small, medium, large and extra large.
Yeah.
Which does give us the option at a later date of possibly doing a smaller one, possibly doing a bigger one even if you wanted to spot at the start.
But I think that's a really comprehensive range as it is anyway. And within each size we've got different weights, haven't we?
Yeah, you've got between 3 and 4 in the case of the large one, weight options. So in that family of 4 bodies, same with the cage feeder, you've got 12 weight options.
Yeah. So within the range of 2 types of feeder, we've actually got 24 different
24 feeders.
So we're really covering lots of options in terms of the capacity, how you want to deliver the feed in terms of you want a standard open ender or a cage.
Yep.
And also we've got the added advantage of being
the balancing leads.
Yeah.
So that what I've done is, regardless of the type of feeder or the body size, all of the weights are the same width.
Yeah. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll show that in a bit more detail, but what it means is they all interchange, doesn't it?
These weights will fit every feeder regardless of which one it is, and you can swap from an extra large ground bait to an extra large cage and they're the same physical size.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So it's fair to say we've put a lot of thought in terms of the design, in terms of the size of the range and what we've got within that range to cover pretty much a massive aspect of feeder fishing with an open end feeder, haven't we?
This is probably, certainly for us over here in places like Holland, this is probably 90% of what you would do.
Me personally, I like this style of open end feeder where you haven't got too much in terms of in holes, you know, where I want to perhaps get my feed down to the bottom if I'm fishing in deeper water.
Some feeders will have holes in the top, which is, I see as a disadvantage, because when you put it in, the feed started to come out straight away.
Yeah. No, I think that the level of detail that you've put them into is absolutely fantastic, Rich. So that's the feeder style that I like to do when I'm fishing perhaps deeper pegs and when I want to get the feed to the bottom, probably on rivers and on deeper lakes. And then the cage type, obviously the fact that you've got more holes, more chance of the water getting into the feed, that's going to break down a lot quicker.
And it will come down probably through the water column on its way down as well.
So that for me covers, like you say, probably 90% of my open-end feeder fishing. And I really love the fact that they're so robust and strong. I mean, this is another thing that you spent a lot of time thinking about and testing in terms of the strength of the boom and in terms of the strength of the plastic. Because the last thing you want is, you know, some feeders in the past, you've been using them once or twice, they start to crack and break down.
Oh, I've had some in the past, many years ago to be fair, where you're filling them up and the body split, which is no good.
One thing I really love about working with you is the fact that the attention to detail in terms of the manufacture of the product and the design of it. Now, I would never have known about this, but just could you explain a bit about the pegs and how the lead is actually incorporated into the feeder?
Yeah, sure. It's one of the reasons why you make a 3D printed model in the first place. But if you look in here, these spigots are quite tall. They're probably about 4 millimeters high.
Yeah.
And these ones have been flattened down. So what you do to assemble your boom, your lead and your body, those spigots are overlong, if you like.
Yeah.
So you thread your boom onto the spigots, you put your body onto the spigots, and then once it's assembled, you then compress the spigot, the lead spigot. So what it does, it makes like a nail head.
Yeah.
So it squashes it down and it widens it out, and that's what grips and holds the body to everything else.
It's brilliant, and I've got to say I've not had one fail, and I've used these feeders a lot. So I've not had any situation where the lead has started to come away from the feeder.
It shouldn't do.
I also just want to talk about the strength of the plastic that you've used.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I do fish a lot, and I don't say I abuse my tackle, but I fish hard with it, you know.
As in, you just get on with it.
And it has a tough life, but I still haven't managed to break one of these feeders in terms of the actual body and also the stem.
They're really, really, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're indestructible, but they're really, really strong. I mean, some feeders you'll notice their wall thickness is probably less than 1 millimetre, which is getting borderline too thin.
Yeah.
It also makes them a bit flexible. So if you've got, say, 30 feeders in a box, they get squashed and go out of shape. So you've got to make them rigid. You want to keep the shape, you need to make them strong at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Talk to us about the swivel. Again, well, the quality of the swivel, it's a really high quality swivel. It's got a nice size with a decent eye on it.
There's two reasons for using that size of swivel. One is that if you use something like a size 8 or a size 9, you've got more metal, especially in the ring eye, to mould your plastic around, so that increases its strength. Absolutely. And if you're one of those anglers that threads your feeder directly onto the line, because the eye is slightly bigger in diameter, if you're fishing in, say, a river where there's some water on, there's a bit of rubbish coming down, there's less chance of clogging the eye up, so your feeder is still free running.
I really like it because a lot of the time when I'm fishing, like today for bream, and I'm using a fixed paternoster, I use a loop. And it just makes the job so easy because I don't actually have a snap swivel. I go straight. I think I'll do a little video about how I tie the pattern.
So you've doubled it up to make a loop, pushed it through the eye.
Pushed it through and back round the feeder.
So it's easier to
So
thread.
I just find them very, very easy to use, very, very practical. We talked about the additional leads, and I think that displays that beautifully. So you can see how the extra lead is designed to fit either side of the lead very snugly and securely. And as you mentioned, all of the leads in the range, irrespective of the weight, will do the same. So you can actually fit the lead around and onto the feeder very neatly. And
that's also why you'll notice that regardless of the size of the feeder, so if I take that one and that one, those holes at the bottom here and here are the same size and the same distance up from the lead. So the balancing leads that we've now made will fit everybody.
I think it's brilliant. And in terms of the weight, we've got two sizes, haven't we?
Yep, there's a small one and a medium one, approximately 12 and roughly 20 grams, which is not quite 3/4 of an ounce on that one.
And it's really nice, so you can actually add weight to your feeder, perhaps when you're fishing on a river, so you can critically balance your feeder perfectly to the flow, and obviously also add weight to the feeder for distance as well.
And they're purpose made for these, so that when you put them on, they're a perfect fit and they're nice and flush, so you haven't got any sharp edges either. You don't want to snag your line, do you?
Rich, I love it. I think it's brilliant design, very, very practical and very easy to use.
There's one other thing on the solid bodied ground bait feeders. If you look into here, you'll see that those oval holes, the piece of plastic between the two is slightly thinner, slightly wasted. And the reason for putting that on is so that if you want to open that out to a slot,
Okay.
chopworm, whatever you're putting in there,
Yeah.
you can run a blade carefully against this wall and make a nice, neat, straight line, rather than chop it up with some scissors and make it rough and sharp.
Absolutely brilliant. The attention to detail, I love it, Rich.
You just need to catch some more brain there.
Thanks, mate. We've got all the details on our website. Check them out, they're absolutely fantastic.